Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video where I'm going to take you through what I read since last time we spoke, what I'm reading right now, and what I intend to be reading in the future. You know the drill by now. We are on week 23 of the year so far. Very, very exciting. No, that's not halfway through the year. That's 26. Yes. And I have a bunch of things that I have read since the last time we spoke, so let me tell you about them. By the way, I am filming this. Normally I film on a Wednesday lunchtime. It is actually Thursday. Not quite late at night, but we're getting that way into the evening. I was been away, and then, because as you can tell I'm dressed reasonably competently like a human, I was in the office today. But I thought I would film this now because tomorrow is already quite a busy day without having to do editing on the same day again. I don't want to do it. Let's talk now. First up, I finished Locklands by Robert Jackson Bennett. I absolutely loved this. As my shorthand, I do want to do a full review for the series, but if we're going by how long it's taken me to do a full review of Nettle and Bone, that won't be till, after the book has come out. So, let me just say, I really liked this. I think the trilogy as a whole is really strong. I think this is probably the least strong book of all three, but with a series like this, that's kind of going to depend on what you like in the series. If you really like a very specific character relationship, which, don't get me wrong, I do very much enjoy, but if that's not why you read the books, I think this will be slightly less strong. Basically, all I wanted this series to do was to continue playing with the magic system in an interesting way, and this absolutely did that for me. So yes, I will try and talk about it in a bit more detail. Maybe doing something similar to my Empire of Gold review, where I talk about the series as a whole, spoiler-free, and then I'll talk about it, for 5 minutes at the end for everyone who's already read it. I think that might be the tidiest way of doing it. Otherwise, it's producing 2 videos and releasing them around about the same time, and I'm not about that life. But yes, fantastic. Again, similar to Shorefall, if I didn't know how good Foundry Side was, I would probably have given it 5 stars. It's a 4.75. It's so close, it just wasn't quite there for me. Possibly after that, who knows what order things actually happened in. Even I don't, and it was last week. I read Issa, the 4th book in the World of Lenaria series. I really didn't think I was going to finish this. This was Saturday, and it was a 600-page book that I had started the day before. And I'm not often very smug about my reading speed because I think it's just kind of a bit wanky and annoying. But in this case, I was just so chuffed to get to it and to finish it in the week that I intended to finish it on, because my reading schedule is to a point at the moment where if I miss a week, if I miss a book off, everything topples. So I had to really hammer home. I know I'm staying with it, and actually I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good 4th book in the series. I still think Marauder is the strongest book, but now I can actually film a full review for that for Overbooked, so that will be coming. Elle McRae is a lovely person. She's an author I've worked with before, and I had a good time with it. It kind of gave me exactly what I was expecting from the book, which was a bit more exploration of Issa, some more flow through of ideas in the book, and some introduction of some new ideas and characters and big bads and such. And yeah, I'm having a good time. I think it's possibly a smidge too long, but I think that's partly because there are so many different characters with very different things going on at the moment, where Marauder, everyone is spending all of their time together, so that can be quite a tight story. In some variation after that, at the beginning of this week, end of last week, I can't remember, I finished Arch Enemies and Supernova, both by Marissa Meyer. I have just a drastically mismatched series. If you're a person who likes matched series, look away, because they're all in paperback, but I have a paperback arc of Renegades, a similarly sized paperback finished copy of Arch Enemies, which I think Asher gave to me, so thank you, Asher. And then I have a big floppy paperback of Supernova. But what made me laugh was, and this is just totally irrelevant, but let's do an early page in case, I don't know, you get spoiled for something really early on. This is this book. I'm just going to assume it's focused because I can't see, and it's crammed in. They've really crammed the text in. Where in this one, they've put massive. I don't know if it's focused, but they've put massive gaps around everything, and it just feels like they couldn't quite get either of them right. But what am I to know? I'm not a publisher. What do I think about that series overall? I, again, will have an Overbooked video out. This has been a week of finishing series for Overbooked, but I like it. I think it is perfectly good. It does exactly what it says on the tin, which is a kind of cheesy superhero YA. That's what I wanted. That's what I got. I think book 2 and 3 suffer a little from mistaken identity being such an important focus, or hidden identity being such an important focus, and it just makes it all feel a little bit slapstick at times, people not realising people are other people, and people being framed and not being framed and such. The characters come across quite stupid, which I don't necessarily think that they are, and I think it underpins a lot of the work of book 1, setting these characters up as competent people. But you know, there's not much I can do about that. I had a good time reading it. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but there will be times in life where you want a YA superhero series, and when you do, you can go for Marissa Mayer. Katie's running D&D downstairs. This is why I don't film in the evenings. If you can hear that background noise, just imagine that we're sat across from each other in a busy cafe or something. You know, classy and cosmopolitan. After that, I finished the comic books I talked about last week. These are going to be even more unbearable in this evening light. But Horizon Zero Dawn Volume 1 and 2 from Titan Comics, I had a really good time with these. I wouldn't necessarily recommend reading them if you hadn't played the video games, or if you weren't planning on playing the video games, because I think they assume a lot of knowledge. They give you like the world of Horizon and a bit of a kind of notebook of the things you need to know if there's specialised wording, but I think these are really made for fans of the series. I wouldn't say go into them if you had no connection to the world of Horizon at all. I wouldn't maybe pick them up. But I really like them for fleshing out both. The first one really deals with what I think is kind of events that happen between the two games, and Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. And the second one actually was more of the arc of a story of a character who is referenced in the first game, which I very much enjoyed. I liked fleshing them out a little bit. No, you stay over there. If you're too hot, go downstairs. Okay. I liked them. I thought they were good comic books. They were beautifully illustrated. I'm not a particularly coherent comic book reviewer because I've not read many of them, but I enjoyed reading these. There we go, that's really all I can say on that. I finished Animorphs 38 on Sunday of last week because Sunday has become my Animorphs reading day. I just sit down and get through one, which has been very efficient so far. I'm excited to tell you about it in the video that will be out at the start of August for Animorphs August. Ooh, snazzy. Hopefully out early on Patreon if you are a patron. And the last thing that I finished, I found myself in between a lot of audiobooks, which you will see in the currently reading section. I started a couple of things, or restarted a couple of things, I should say. Then I was going through my series tracker, which I intended to do an update on at the end of the year, but I haven't really figured it out because I realised there were a lot of sequels that had come out that I hadn't referenced on the spreadsheet. It was a whole organisational thing. And I realised that the Jade Setter of Janloon, which is it's a prequel, but it's not connected to the series. It's just sort of a story in the world of the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. And I didn't think I'd be able to read it in the UK because the ebook edition doesn't come out for a little while, and the actual printed edition is coming out from a really small press in a really limited number, for reasons that I do not understand, but I'm sure somebody does. And then I realised that the audiobook was on Scribd, and it was already out, and I was very excited for it, so I listened to it, and yeah, I think it's really good. The audiobook's about 4.5 hours, I think, in total, so it was about an hour and 25 minutes at the speed that I listen to things, because I am a disaster, a chaos tornado being. And yes, it's set just before the start of Jade City, I think. And if you know the series, it's when Lan has taken over as the pillar, but Hilo is not yet the horn, which are words that will mean nothing to you if you haven't read this series. I would say if you are planning on picking up the Greenbone Saga and you haven't read them yet, you could wait till the end to read the Jade Setter of Janloon. It doesn't give you any additional information. It might give you a little bit of scene setting, but it's not going to change the way that you read the books. Likewise, if you have already read them and you're thinking about picking it up, you don't need to do a reread to read it. I just think it's a nice addition to the world. It's a lovely bit of extra flavour. It's nice to see something from outside of the clans. I really liked that element to it. And yeah, it's sort of a crimey story in the sense that a crime has been done and a solution has to be found. And it has some interplay with characters that you're familiar with, but it's not you know how sometimes spin-off books and series feel like a Where Are They Now? It doesn't feel like that because obviously this is a prequel. It almost felt like it could have been lifted from book one, in the sense that one of the great things about the Greenbone Saga is it does just feel like a slice of time in this city, and this could be like a slice just before, because it is just a story of some people, which I liked. I liked that it fit with that. A part of me does wonder if at some point or another it was a deleted scene. I don't know, but I really liked it. I would recommend, and the audiobook was good. And yes, if you are a person in the UK looking to listen to it, that is the way that I did it. So yes, things I'm in the middle of. 3 things, 2 of which are audiobooks, and at least 1 of which we're definitely going to be talking about for a few weeks. So I'll just very briefly touch on the fact that I am picking up The Count of Monte Cristo again. I'm doing it by audiobook. I did start this ages ago when Stephanie and some other people were doing a read-along, but then I fell off the wagon very quickly because it is a very long book. So yes, I think I have about 45 hours left of that one. That's when I have no other audiobook to pick up, I'll pick up that one, because my other audiobook is Gideon the Ninth, which I had planned to read this month. I had a week set aside for it, but I thought, you know what, we can start this early. We'll get some TBR toppled before we get to the end of the month. And yeah, I'm enjoying that well enough. I'll go on to Harrow afterwards. My goal with Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth this reread is to decide if the series is for me and if I'm going to keep going with it, because it's one of those things, I should love it, right? It's necromancy. It should work for me, and written down it really didn't, especially Harrow. I found it really confusing, and I kind of got FOMO about it because other people were talking about it like it was the best thing since sliced bread, and I was like, I didn't really understand all of it, and maybe that's my fault, and I want to just get my anxiety around that series, which sounds so stupid, but it is what it is. I just want to know what my feelings are on it, and I think audiobook is definitely the way to go for that, and so far I am enjoying Gideon the Ninth. I wouldn't say it is the best thing since sliced bread, but I am enjoying it more than I have enjoyed it reading it in the past. And lastly, I am about 10% of the way through my reread of She Who Became the Sun. I do have a copy, but it is downstairs because I just pulled it out of my laptop bag, and I'm very early days into that one so far, but I am enjoying it, and I'm excited to do a reread because honestly, I couldn't remember much other than the main big story beats, and I didn't want to do my typical Space Sirens thing of being like, I can't remember any character names or what happened, but what you guys are talking about seems really interesting. So yes, I'm excited to do that reread and get through that hopefully tomorrow, which would be good. Then over the weekend, I'm going to try and read Animorphs 39, my classic Animorphs Sunday. A lazy Sunday afternoon with an Animorphs book, how wonderful. And I also have to finish The Gilded Cage, which is the second book in the Prison Healer series, which I already talked about last week, but I'll probably talk about that more when it's done. And I've read the third one as well. You know, I'll prioritise the third one early next week and then we can capture them both in the next video. Yeah, it's a lot of rereads and sequels at the moment. Next week is very similar. I am doing my reread of Tess of the Road. Super excited. And I've got to do my reread of Six Crimson Queens as well. I've also got to do a lot of filming this weekend, so we'll see how we go. But if last week is anything to go by, the motivation of not giving myself more work the week after will definitely help. No book mail this week, so let's go straight into new releases, two of which I have read, I think. The City Inside by Samit Basu I have talked about fairly recently. I read this back in May. This wasn't for me, but if you do love literary sci-fi, it definitely might be. Can you not just literally just kick the microphone? Just settle, just relax. Rest. I know Angela had mixed feelings about this, but generally came out quite positive. I'll see if she's got a review or a recap of a video where she talked about it, because I think she can probably talk about it better than I can. But yes, this is an interesting book. It just wasn't for me. It was too literary. I didn't vibe with it in a way that I wanted to. But Empress Crowned in Red is also out, the sequel to Witches Steeped in Gold, and I really liked this. It was a really great sequel. I think that, you know, going in that it's quite long. I think it's about 600 or 700 pages in paperback, maybe. It's quite big, but it's a really enjoyable sequel. I really liked it. I wasn't expecting to, and I really, really liked it. Things that I haven't read, For the Throne, I am waiting to hear what Asha thinks about it, because I wasn't such a huge fan of For the Wolf, and I'm interested to see where that series goes. We All Fall Down, I can't remember what that is. Oh, that was the one. Oh, it's an unabashedly queer fantasy book. That's why that's on my list. Maybe we'll look that one up to see if I want to buy it. Oh, but the thing is, it's a dark YA fantasy duology. And we know how I've been feeling about YA fantasy duologies lately. Maybe we'll wait and see what other people think. And also something called The Knave of Secrets, which is a Rebellion book, which explains why I haven't requested it, because I am a bit hit and miss with them. Hit or miss with them. I always say hit and miss, and it's never that. But this is a failed magician turned card sharp. I'm probably not going to read this, because if I wanted to read failed mage turned into a card person, I would probably just read Spellslinger. However, if you did want to read that, that is now out. Well, I have blithered for much longer than I normally do in these videos, so sorry about that one. I blame the dog for interrupting every 5 minutes. Hopefully I can edit this down into something a bit more manageable. I'm gonna go eat some popcorn now and think about editing this video, but actually probably leave it till the last minute. What are you reading? What have you been up to? Let me know down in the comments below. Is your pet equally as annoying as mine? Because she's really tested my patience, and it's all because I tried to cut her nails earlier and she was not having it. Not having it at all. Do let me know all of those things down in the comments below. While you are commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have cool chill chats about books. Nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons over on Patreon, who get early access to videos and exclusive content if you would like to join their number. That's down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.
There's gonna be some bloopers now.
And this is what happens. I'm so sorry, editing Judith, who's just having to sit through me. I finished but then I fell off the wagon very quickly because it is a very... Oh no, when did you stop?